It's RJ, your boy with Break the Board Sports Monday morning quarterback. Man, what a weekend in the NFL. What a weekend in college football. Last night, if you stayed up on the East Coast and watched the end of that Ravens-Bills game, we had a big play we gave out to all of our players earlier in the week. We had an Eagles-Ravens teaser, 7-pointer. It worked out because we had the Ravens +8 in that. But, man, if you had Ravens, if you laid the one last night, once it closed, you had just heartbreak. Up 15 with 4 minutes left. Looked like the game was totally in control and just really fell apart for Baltimore there, starting with the fumble with Derrick Henry. Changed the entire complexion of the game. And, hey, that's sports betting, and that's the things you can never figure into your handicapping, right? You can never predict fumble or an interception or a weird 2-point conversion. There's so many things that's why being spot on with your handicapping is so important, because you can be one of the best handicappers there is and have really great systems and really great power rankings, and there's still the human element where things can just go crazy. Was on the right side of that one last night, but if you look at on Saturday, just because I needed a spare team for a parlay I did through Kansas State money line in there, and they lose to Army. So just kind of the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. But the NFL was really great for us here at Break the Board Sports. Again, click that like button, hit subscribe. We're here every Monday and Thursday, 10:30 Eastern time live. Then we put out shorts during the week. We'll also be doing a short today for MLB. We do MLB every single day, putting out those betting trends for you. Also, you can go to breaktheboardsports.com, look at our notes section. That's free, doesn't cost anything. We have our quick hitter notes, so it breaks down each and every game. We have the Vikings Bears up there, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But again, just recapping, home teams 10-7. Again, you've probably heard this a lot, but your top teams, most bet on teams, Steelers -3, they didn't cover. Giants +6 was a popular dog. They didn't cover. It hasn't been talked about a lot, but from a betting split standpoint, everybody was on the Dolphins. They got absolutely murdered as their offense with Tua and company looked terrific. But also some of those other big ones, the Cardinals, they only covered by the hook, which, again, all you people that have tickets for the Cardinals, I don't want to overreact, but the Cardinals are exactly what they are every year, right? Kyler Murray may make some plays here and there, but they're just not a good football team. They're not a football team you can definitely count on from a betting standpoint. I saw they're already laying 7 to Carolina this week at home. Now, Carolina, they didn't look much better in that one. I know a lot of people were high on the Panthers. A lot of people I actually respect were high on the Panthers. Don't want to call them out, but certainly didn't look good week one for sure on that one. Another bet that had a lot of public money was the Broncos. It didn't get home. They were my survivor picks, so I lucked out on that one. I had 2 picks that I put on the Browns, and then I had 1 pick that I put on the Jags. So all 3 of those in my survivor are still alive. Lions was another one of the top 5 most popular bets. It didn't get home. Packers smashed them. So for us here at Break the Board Sports, very good weekend. We had Steelers money line. I know a lot of people will talk about juice, but juice don't matter if you're winning. We had Steelers money line that we gave out. We had the Raiders +3.5 that got home for us. Again, we bought the point, laid $1.30. Didn't need it. They won outright. We had the Browns +6. That got home for us. We had a double unit teaser with the Broncos and the Seahawks. That got home for us. We had a double unit with the Eagles Broncos from Thursday. That got home. We had a 5-unit play on the Eagles and the Ravens teaser. That got home. We lost our teaser with the Lions Raiders. Lions didn't do us any favors there. And we lost a parlay that we had with the Chiefs Steelers Broncos as the Chiefs got destroyed on that one. College football, really good for us. We started out the day hot, 4-0. Iowa State money line got home. Kentucky plus 10.5 got home. Jacksonville State plus 7.5 won outright for us. Mississippi State plus 7.5 got outright for us. NC State with the win. We had the money line parlay with Oklahoma and North Carolina. The only loser, we had again, always excuse the dogs. Sometimes you'll hear my pups. They'll bark at anything that moves. Money line parlay with Michigan State and K-State double unit. That lost for us, unfortunately. And then made a huge mistake, gave out UCLA late. Should have never, ever did that. But, hey, I liked them. We were rolling. I was feeling good. So 15-5 in the NFL this week, 6-3 college football, 21-8, 13 games over 500 in football for the week. Again, you go to breaktheboardsports.com. You can catch us $64.99 a month, or you can have right now. We were doing football for $500. We're doing 365 days, $389. There's no promo code. It's just up there. We're going to have that through week 4. Again, breaktheboardsports.com and click that subscribe. Some games already as we look to tonight. When we look at dogs, these home teams, like I said, 10-7 as far as straight up. But when you look at the dogs, Cowboys got the cover. Chargers got the cover in prime time. With the Bills switching to the dog, prime time now 3-0 ATS to start out. So really good there. Again, we said the Raiders, they cover, the Jets cover. So a lot of dogs were barking. When you look at tonight, Minnesota, Chicago opened as a 1.5 point favorite. Minnesota right now, they were flipped over to a 1.5 favorite. But now you're seeing a lot of places go 2.5. Your over-under setting around 43.5 in the market. Updating that for you here real time at FanDuel. Again, Bears now catching 2.5. For me, I got some teaser legs out there with some super teasers. Bears plus 14.5, Bears plus 8.5. But I'm also going to play the Bears straight plus the 1.5 or plus the 2.5. Now I'm kind of waiting to make sure it stays at that 2.5. I'll probably lay $1.20 and buy it plus 3. I just really like. I like getting the home team here. Again, I know Minnesota's loaded. I know they got the Bear defense. I know Brian Flores is Bear coordinator. Caleb Williams is always who knows. But I think Ben Johnson's going to reel him in. You saw Detroit's offense look extremely different without Ben Johnson calling plays. I'm not saying he had everything to do with it, but that line's offense just never got in sync. I think Ben Johnson knows Brian Flores very well, vice versa. I expect a low-scoring game. Again, I know people aren't a big fan of your 7-point teasers because of juice and laying $1.40. Again, they've treated me very well so far this year, treated me very well over on year 22 here that we got going in the business. So if you grab it, if you could lay 6 or get 6-point teaser minus $1.25, I'd rather have the touchdown with the extra point to get over that other key numbers. But right now, 6-point probably would be the way to lean at the 2.5. If not, go 7. I think getting the Bears plus 8.5, whether you got to do a 7-pointer or 6-pointer, Bears plus 8.5, solid. And then having that under again, that's my dog Duke. He'll bark at his own shadow, so apologize for that. Is taking the Bears under, right? So if I got under 50.5, I feel like that's good value. I could see this again. I think the Vikings, I think coach of the Vikings O'Connell is going to keep J.J. McCarthy out of harm's way. I think Ben Johnson's going to keep Caleb Williams out of harm's way. I got questions about the Bears defense, but I just think this ends up being very slow played, especially in the first half. Anytime touchdown scores. Couple that I really looked at and really intrigued me is Jordan Mason. I know Aaron Jones is the premier running back for the Vikings, but I like Mason plus 186 right now at FanDuel. I like TJ Hawkinson. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to rely on his tight end a lot. He's plus 255. Conversely, the Bears leaning on the tight end. Again, these young quarterbacks, getting them in a rhythm. Colston Loveland, the rookie they drafted, 4-1. And then Alamade Zacchaeus, when he was with us here in Washington, all he did was catch touchdown passes underneath. Again, I think you'll see DJ Moore and Adunze, Minnesota, keep them covered, but there might be some stuff for Zacchaeus underneath. 4.5-1 for him. And again, you can never forget Cole Kmet, 5.5-1. So a couple different props there as far as touchdown scores that you could look at. If you look at the opening lines are up for next week NFL. And again, we'll really dive into these Thursday. We'll be putting our quick hitter bear notes. Again, those notes are free at breaktheboardsports.com. But looking here, Washington, Green Bay at FanDuel. Green Bay laying 3.5. You're over under 48.5. Money line for the Packers minus 198. That's too high. I like the Packers money line, but it's way too high for me to do anything with. First instinct on this game is looking at Washington teased up in those 7-pointers. Again, I know you lay $1.40, but I'm about winning bets, not about juice. Juice matters when you're losing, right? If the bet wins, nobody talks about juice. So if you're a good handicapper, you feel solid about your bet, boom, there you go. Again, teasers, parlays, you'll get killed in college football. Teasers in the NFL, you know what you're doing, especially with dogs and opportunities. You'll be in good shape. If you look at Washington, plus 3.5 right now, that 7-pointer would take them up to 10.5. Feel like that's good value. Maybe a dance partner with them is the Rams. I thought the Titans looked extremely well against Denver. They're early with their defense. But as I look back even more and watch it, I said this back 2 months ago. All you people that are in love with Denver, and I'm hearing Super Bowl, and I'm hearing winning the AFC West, none of that is happening. None of that is happening. There's no chance this side of the moon. I understand the defense of Denver looked great. I would just remind you, it's a rookie quarterback against a team that won one game last year. Okay? Let's put that into perspective. I think the receivers caught like 4 passes yesterday. Cam Ward, he escaped, made some good plays. He just doesn't have anything around him. But if you're telling me Denver is this perennial Super Bowl team, no way. And we'll get to them in a minute. The fact that they're laying points on the road this week in a game that should be a pick 'em is crazy to me. But Rams right now at FanDuel laying 6.5. You're over under 42.5. Right now, I'm sure that under is going to get pounded. Rams defense looked very good, held Houston in check. Tennessee's defense looked okay. Some stupid penalties there at the end on Simmons and whatnot. But right now, like I said, laying 6.5, you're over under 42.5 in that game. Patriots, Dolphins. Patriots exactly who I thought they'd be. I've said many a times, gave it out. Patriots under 8.5, their win total. A lot of people saying they could finish second in the AFC. I don't see it. But they go to Miami. Miami, a 1.5-point favorite. Your over-under is 43.5. And Miami's offense looked absolutely disastrous, hot garbage. And the question has to be, Mike McDaniel, how long does this go, right? I know the Cardinals won, but right now, if I'm looking at it, I think Mike McDaniel and Jonathan Gannon, those two are clearly the two frontrunners for first coach to be fired. I expect one of them to be gone before we get to week 6 if this continues with these two teams. But I'll be interested in the betting splits because, you know, it's early here on a Monday. Betting splits, you want to look at them in the first part of the week because a lot of your sharps and all bet earlier in the week and compare it to what it looks like at the end of the week, right? Because there are games sharps and you know, the public are on together. So I always like to look at that and tinker. Again, another good exercise to do. Did this yesterday at the end of the Baltimore Bills game last night is go through each game and write what you think the line's going to be, right? Even if you don't dive in and study because you have to go to work and you got a normal job and you just love this or you pay a service or whatever, still write out your own lines. You'll be surprised. It may take you a couple years, but you'll get closer and closer and dialed in. And those ones you're dialed in to, those are the games you should bet, right? You don't have to bet every game on the board. I know that's hard in the NFL. We all want to bet every game. But if you can keep discipline and keeping that good ratio of plays, you can be extremely successful. A game that I'm on right now, already out the chute, Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Right now, Cincinnati a 3.5-point favorite, over under 50.5. I know the Bengals always struggle against the Browns. The fact that they got a win, Joe Burrow was speaking that at the end of the game. He was extremely excited. But the Bengals defense, let's be real here. The Browns had missed chip shots, and the Browns had turnovers off deflections. The Browns should have beat them. Give me Jacksonville in the plus 3.5. That's going to be a play. I love Jacksonville's offense. Now, I don't think Carolina's any good, so I don't want to make Jacksonville sound like they're this crazy good team. But I think with the new head coach, Trevor Lawrence, we just saw things different than with Travis Hunter and ETN and Brian Thomas Jr. There's weapons all over the yard for Lawrence. The protection was better. I love Jacksonville plus 3.5. Last night when I was laying in bed, lines came out and I was looking at them, circled that game right away, said, hey, if I can get 3.5, that's a play for me. So I went ahead and bet that ticket, Jags plus 3.5. Now, Seattle at Pittsburgh. A couple things I knew and a couple things I was surprised about when we talk about week one feedback is Sam Darnold's exactly who I thought he was. Can't move the ball. He's good for about 3 throws a game, but he is not going to change the world for Seattle at all. I think he's a downgrade from Geno Smith, but I will say Seattle's defense was what I thought was extremely tough. San Francisco, Brock Purdy there with his version of the catch, throwing that jump ball, backup tight end, never caught a touchdown, taking it away. San Francisco should have never been in that position. Kudos for them getting across the finish line. But Seattle here, Sam Darnold is just not the answer. I think, again, people say, oh, maybe the last 2 games of last year was just a mirage, him playing back. No, I've seen him do that his whole career. Again, he'll make a couple throws because he does have some talent. I'm not saying none against that. But listen, he is not going to be able to go into a place like Pittsburgh and get a win. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, their offense looked dynamite. The big surprise from yesterday, I could not believe how many points were scored in that Pittsburgh Jets game. I thought, if anything, from both of those two teams, is you would see great defense. And we didn't see it from either one, other than the last drive, Jalen Ramsey made a heck of a play. But Pittsburgh, they had no answer for Justin Fields. And the Jets defense, which was supposed to be solid, Rodgers shredded them, absolutely shredded them. Listen, I think this line's only going to go up. Seattle going to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. It's Pittsburgh's home opener. Now, I think Seattle's way better than the Jets. But if you didn't learn anything this past week, laying 3, it was the most heavily bet game, ticket and money-wise. Steelers -3, and it lost, but the Steelers won. I had the Steelers money line. Everybody's like, how can you lay $1.55? If you don't like them to win by a field goal, you shouldn't bet the game, because that's the NFL. Crazy 1-2 point finishes happen all the time. Pittsburgh -$1.45 right now. I think that's only going to go up. If you like Pittsburgh, bet it early in the week. Pittsburgh -145. I think they do go to 2-0. I like the Steelers. I'm on them -145 money line, and Jaguars +3.5. I'm on them. Browns at the Ravens. And Ravens, look, man, house of horrors after that meltdown. That was just really something to behold. It's one of those things you see maybe 2 or 3 times in your lifetime in an NFL game. Browns at Ravens. Ravens laying 11.5. Now this opened up 13.5. It's already been bet down. Flacco goes back to Baltimore. Your over-under is 45.5. Again, when you talk about double-digit spreads, for me, 100%. After the first 7-8 years of getting destroyed on these, I've been able to leave them alone for over a decade. When it's a double-digit spread in the NFL, it's either dog or pass. Right now, it's a pass. I want to wait out and see where the line takes us. But Joe Flacco and the Browns, Judy had some drop balls. Like I said, there was a deflection for that crazy pick the Bengals got, missed field goals. The Browns could if this crept back up towards 13, I would have to think about the Browns very, very seriously. Now, I love what Derrick Henry and Lamar did on the ground. I know Lamar said he was cramping. That's why they didn't go for it. John Harbaugh, huge mistake there at the end of the game. You have to know that at the end of the game like that, a Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Burrow, or a Lamar, there's such an opportunity for them to kill you. You just might as well go for it. Them getting the ball on the 40 or their own 20 really is no difference. I know it sounds crazy, but you just know in money time those guys are going to score. Baltimore should have went for that. They didn't. They lost. Bears at the Lions. Lions laying 4.5. They got shellacked. I thought their defense looked good at times under the new defensive coordinator. But look, offensively, just all kinds of problems. I think they're going to have more success. Here's another thing. The Lions had owned the Packers for a stretch. The Packers were due. They were at home. Micah Parsons and on one side, Gary on the other is going to be, Packers got that young defense. Josh Jacobs back running the ball. Packers got so many weapons as well. Not saying the Lions don't. It just was the perfect storm. I don't think we should overreact. I think the Lions are still going to win that division. I really, really do. Though Green Bay is going to fight them all the way down to the end. But here, over-under setting at 47.5. I think you can look for some points to be scored in this one between the Bears and Lions. It's kind of a wait and see what the Bears do tonight against Minnesota. Again, Bears is going to be the play for us, plus the 3. It's setting at 2.5 right now. Buy that hook, lay $1.25, take the Bears plus the 3 there. Is going to be our play this evening. Bills at the Jets, and the Bills laying 7 on the road. Again, Justin Fields looked really, really good. You're over under 45.5 in this one. Listen, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields put up 63, you would got to think Josh Allen can do the same. Not really sure. This is a divisional game. Now, one thing I wouldn't do, I don't think I would lay 7 on the road. And I don't think I would take 7.5 with the Jets either. This is probably going to be a pass. I think the Bills are going to have their hands full. Listen, the Bills, I know they pulled that game out last night, but they really had no business pulling that game out. And I think that defense is going to be holes all year long. They really should have traded for Micah Parsons, but hey, they didn't. He's in Green Bay. But I think Buffalo's defense is going to be just a huge issue all year long. I did like what I saw from Keon Coleman, the young wide receiver. I think he makes a huge difference for Buffalo. Shakir, we know what he can do underneath. But the one thing they had struggled with was that big outside receiver that could go get a catch. And I think they got that as long as he can stay healthy. Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys opened up a 5.5-point favorite. It's down to 4.5. Giants, there's questions. Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, who's it going to be? Kind of bought into the Giants hype a little bit after saying I thought they would go under the win total, gave it out that way, and then afterwards got persuaded. We had Giants plus 13 in the teaser. That was a loser. You're over under 44.5. Again, I got no interest in this game either way. It's really going to depend what happens with Jackson Dart. But again, we'll have all these betting notes so you can do your own handicapping. It doesn't cost anything. Go to breaktheboardsports.com, click on the notes blog section, and quick hitter notes on every game. They'll start getting loaded in there. Minnesota, Chicago in there tonight. If you want to handicap the game yourself and form your own opinion there, we're here to help you become a better handicapper. breaktheboardsports.com. San Francisco, 7-point favorite at New Orleans. Over-under is 43.5. Denver at the Colts. Denver laying 2.5. You're over-under 42.5. Again, the Colts absolutely shellacked Miami. I was a big Daniel Jones hater. And listen, I'm not a Daniel Jones believer yet, by no means. But the fact that the Denver Broncos are laying points on the road after that inept performance they had yesterday, I want nothing to do with the Broncos laying points, that's for sure. Not saying I'm taking Indy, but I just don't. If you're going to play Denver, you got to lay the $1.35 to $1.38 on the money line. Yeah, laying 2.5 on the road with Bo Nix and that team right now. Sean Payton his team a little overhyped, I think. A little overhyped. I still think at best, like I said before the year, they're fighting to finish third in that division. People are like, what? Sorry. The Chiefs beat up are still better. The Chargers are better. And I think they're going to be in a dogfight not to finish last in the division. I said this before. Pete Carroll is a game changer. Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, like the Raiders look like they had their stuff together, granted against a New England team that I don't think is very good. But I think the Raiders, there's not that big drop-off between them and Denver. I know everybody's in love with Denver. I just think you need to pump the brakes. Bo Nix is not John Elway, folks. Carolina, 7-point underdog at the Cardinals. You're over under 45.5. Eagles at Chiefs. This flipped. It opened up Chiefs a 1.5-point favored on the look ahead. Now the Eagles are a 1.5-point favorite, and rightly so after their win against Dallas and what we saw from the Chiefs. Everybody betting the Philadelphia Eagles as well on this. Not a lot of Kansas City money so far. It's been all Philly across DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. Be interesting to see how that goes throughout the week. Look, Kansas City being a dog at home, I haven't looked that up yet, but it can't have happened very often over the last 6 years, 5 years or whatever. I know you would say Philly or pass, but I think you got to be very careful. I expect the Chiefs. Philly's defense didn't look that great. I mean, let's be real. Dallas should have won the game, right? So I know Philly has a really good offense, but let's not act like Philly's defense. Like, even if Jalen Carter was in there, that secondary still can be had. Now, I know, again, the Chiefs are down weapons, but there's a little extra here. And that little extra, in my opinion, is the fact that they just got shellacked in the Super Bowl, did the Chiefs, by the Eagles. So, again, I'm not saying I'm betting the Chiefs. I'm not telling you to go bet the Chiefs. I'm just saying I would be very careful, again, laying points on the road, even 1.5, just a dangerous proposition. Sunday Night Football, this is an interesting one. Two young teams, but I think coaching probably wins out on this one for sure. Vikings laying 4.5 at home to the Falcons. Again, Raheem Morris, I don't know how long we have to continue to see him be a head coach to realize he's not a good head coach. Like, I just don't know how long this experiment's got to go. He has an absolute and atrocious record as a head coach. He keeps being allowed to be a head coach, and all it's doing is wasting the talent. I mean, you got Penix, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Hire an offensive-minded head coach. The fact that they only put up 20 points against the Tampa Bay defense is not very good either. Like, that just blows my mind. Atlanta, actually, Raheem Morris should be the first coach fired. I mean, if he comes out the gates and goes like 0-3, you might as well can him. The Falcons are dunsies if they go 0-3. But again, Vikings there, Kevin O'Connell, not excited about laying 4.5, but Kevin O'Connell, that's a wait and see for me. Also, see what happens with Chicago tonight on Monday Night Football. Again, those betting notes are up, breaktheboardsports.com. Click the like button for us. Monday Night Football, we have a doubleheader. I love these. I wish they were every week, and they're the 7 and 10. The only thing I'd like to change is I'd like to see 7 o'clock start and a 9 o'clock start. You know, have a little overlap there, especially for us folks on the East Coast. Texans, 2.5-point favorite, over under 43.5. I know the under set there after watching what both these teams did. Texans only putting up 9, Tampa only putting up 23, but I think you're going to see some fireworks in this one. I expect both Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud put the ball in the air. I think you're going to see some points here in this game. Second game, I'm really interested. Chargers laying 3 at the Raiders. Does it go to 3.5? I think if it goes to 3.5, you have to play the Raiders. But Raiders in their home opener. Again, I don't think New England's any good. And then the Chargers dominated the Chiefs from start to finish in that game. Was that just a mirage? I don't think so. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have the Chargers in the playoffs. I think they win a game. I said that earlier in the year. I think they finished second in the West. Said that before the year. So I'll be very interested to see how that line moves as we go throughout the week, and then really how that game plays out. I think it's an interesting game. To me, if you're going to bet the game, you got to take the points. But that's probably one I can't really see myself getting involved in unless there's some crazy thing where like dogs are 14-1 or favorites are 14-1 going into that. And it's just a bet against the trend that's happening. College football, we got some primetime games. Thursday, you have NC State laying 7.5 at Wake. Friday, Colorado and Coach Prime catching 4.5 at Houston. Kansas State, man, they've burned me twice now this year. They're catching 1.5 at Arizona. UCLA Friday night laying 14.5 to New Mexico. Again, UCLA, they get the transfer quarterback from Tennessee. Foster at head coach. I mean, that UCLA program is just a mess. It's a shame. You get to play in the Rose Bowl. You're at a great university like UCLA, and that thing's just a dumpster fire. A couple quick hitters that we'll go through, just lines in college football this week. And again, Thursday, we'll dive into those a little more. Again, catch us. Click that like and subscribe button. We have shorts that go about 15 to 20 minutes, just quick hitter things. But also, every Monday is the Monday morning quarterback betting recap show. Thursday is the football kickoff pregame show for the weekend, going over all your sports handicapping betting trends. Today, you also have your MLB rundown show as we go through each and every game of the MLB. That'll be out about 3 o'clock Eastern time today. But college football, Wisconsin at Alabama. Alabama rolled UL Monroe against Wisconsin. They're laying 20.5 at home at FanDuel. You're over under 46.5. Here's a game I'm really interested in. Now, Clemson struggled with Troy. I mean, Troy looked like they were going to pull the upset down there at Clemson. Now, Troy goes home. They face Memphis. This opened up as a 4.5-point favorite for Memphis on the road. Troy up to 5.5. Memphis getting bet as they crush Georgia State. And I got to tell you, you should really take a look at the dog. Now, I haven't broken down this game, haven't gotten into it. That's what we'll do throughout the week. But that's one I kind of circled and say, hey, I want to do a little work on this, see where the trends are at. Clemson laying 4.5 at Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. You're over under 52.5. Clemson, they lost that game against LSU, and that was really a coin flip game pre-flop. As the game went on, you could see LSU was clearly better. But I would always, and I know what we saw with Troy, but I would caution people, Clemson typically starts out slow. They just do. Remember, last year they called fire, made the playoff, and it was like, where did Clemson come from? Oh, well, the ACC sucked. Clemson will get it going as things go on. Now, look, I'm not excited about laying 4.5 on the road, but I do think Clemson wins this game if you find a dance partner for them on a two-team money line parlay. But I think Clemson gets this done. I feel very confident Clemson wins this game at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 2-0. Haven't really played anybody outside of Colorado, and they were life and death in that one. Oregon laying 27.5 on the road after shellacking Gundy and company Oklahoma State. Other big games this weekend, Georgia at Tennessee opened up 6.5. It's down to 4.5. Gunnar Stockton, how's he going to look there at Neyland Stadium? That'll be a big one. The backyard brawl, Pittsburgh laying 6 at WVU. WVU just not a good performance facing Ohio this past week. Texas Tech will host Oregon State. Oregon State, there's another program that's just a mess. Texas Tech laying 24.5 as they prepare for next week. So excited about this matchup in the Big 12 next week. To me, the two best teams at this point, Texas Tech goes to Utah. Going to be a heck of a matchup there. No doubt. South Florida, they pull the upset on Boise. We had them. They pull the upset on Florida. Now, the same line against Florida is the same line at Miami. Miami laying 17.5. Listen, I think you got to ride the Bulls too. I mean, I know that's probably by far the toughest 3-game stretch to open the season of any team in the country. But, I mean, do we really feel comfortable about Miami laying 17? And, again, I'm big on look-aheads. Next week, after this weekend, next week, Miami is laying 3, and it's probably going to be the big game on ABC, the night game with Herb Street and Fowler, because it's Florida, Miami, that just has they're both supposed to be good. That just has it written all over it. I think you got to roll with the Bulls again, man. I don't know. Miami laying 17, that's just a big number. Not an official play. Again, you can sign up for all of our picks, breaktheboardsports.com. They come out for the whole week on Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. But just a high line, in my opinion. That's high. Vanderbilt pulled off the comeback against the Hokies. Now they go to South Carolina. South Carolina laying 5.5. You're over under 47.5. Arkansas at Ole Miss. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. Can't wait to handicap it, really get in deep to it. Ole Miss laying 8.5. You're over under 62.5 in that one. Florida at LSU. One of the two biggest games of the week, and both of them in the same time slot. Florida did not look good at all. LSU, they didn't look that great against La Tech. I liked La Tech. I should have played it. As LSU beat them 27-3. Now LSU laying 8.5 at FanDuel, 9 in a couple other spots. I would say wait, see where this moves. I'll say this much. If you're going to tease or money line parlay somebody, it's got to be LSU. I can't. After what I saw Florida do against South Florida, and I don't want to take anything away from South Florida, but it's more of, and I hate to call for people's job, right? But listen, people criticize us here at Break the Board Sports, so that's just the world we live in, free speech. I don't know how, Florida was supposed to be so good. All I heard was how good Florida was going to be. Billy Napier, at some point in time, how long are you going to ride that guy into the ground? He has done nothing for Florida. He has set the program back at Florida. And if Florida has any kind of sense, they'll get a Prime, they'll get an Urban Meyer, they'll get somebody on the phone that can get that thing going, because it ain't him. It ain't him, right? And if he loses LSU and then he loses at Miami and Florida's 1-3, again, just make the change. Just make it. But they're not going into LSU and winning this game. I can't see that. Again, LSU at FanDuel laying 8.5. Your over-under is 50. Now, Texas A&M, another big one. Against Notre Dame. Notre Dame laying 6.5. Over-under 48.5. Revenge spot for Texas A&M. Notre Dame had the week off last week. Notre Dame 230 on the money line. That's a little too heavy to lay. But look, maybe the home teams dominated week 1 and week 0. You saw that kind of slack off. They still won the majority, but slack off in week 2. But right now, you could get LSU, Notre Dame, 2 home teams, money line parlay minus 115. Again, just throwing it out there, non-official play, just something to look at. Duke, after getting destroyed, I know they were a popular dog this past week. Thank God we stayed off of them. Illinois crushed them. Duke now heads to Tulane. Tulane laying 3. Texas State goes to Arizona State. Arizona State was getting shellacked by Mississippi State. Turned around, got the lead, blew it. They're laying 14.5. And then another sneaky good game to end the card in college football. Minnesota laying 2.5 at California. Both of these teams 2-0. Be interesting to see where that line ends up moving as things go on throughout the week. Again, here at breaktheboardsports.com, click that like for us. Just going to hit a couple points in this. Sorry about that. Vikings-Bears game. Again, you can go to breaktheboardsports.com. Click on those quick hitter notes blog section. Totally free. Doesn't have to pay for anything. But if you do want all of our plays, $64.99 a month across all sports, not just college and pro football. You'll get all the baseball going on. We do give out some WNBA plays. We do give out some NASCAR and tennis occasionally. So you can get that. Or right now we had football season for $500, just college and pro. You can get every sport 365 days, a full year for $389. Works out to $1.37 a day. Just a great value. But again, this line opened Bears minus 1.5. It shifted to Vikings minus 1.5. The over-under was 45.5. It's dropped down to 43.5. Right now, on your betting splits, just so we can update those for you, The Minnesota Vikings catching 52% of bets, 48% of tickets to the Bears, but 63% of the handle to the Bears, 37% of the handle to the Minnesota Vikings. Your total, again, sets at 43.5, both at FanDuel and DraftKings. Right now, 55% of tickets to the over, 45% of tickets to the under, and then the handle, 53% and 47%. So really, really close. The only difference is the money a little bit. Again, on the spread, 63% of the money to the Bears, 37% of the money to the Minnesota Vikings. And then just backtracking, let's look at some splits, some early splits. Again, a lot of pros bet earlier in the week. Your public, they typically wait till day of, day before. Somewhere between Friday and Sunday is where the public really gets into these games, as to where earlier in the week, a lot of pros are the majority of who's betting. Right now, if you're looking at splits, Thursday's game, that Packer game we talked about, 65% of bets and 84% of money on the Packers, compared to just 35 and 16 to the Redskins. So a lot of Packer love here early. Your New England, Miami games about even. Other games that stick out as big ones, 80% of money and 80% of bets on Dallas. So pros definitely liking Dallas at this point. Again, after watching Russell Wilson and that offense just be hot garbage, it's hard to get behind them. 84% of the money and 80% of bets on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lions are demanding 75% of the ticket count, 73% of the money, 71% of tickets, and 81% of money to the Cardinals. 80% of the cash going to the Eagles, 74% of tickets. So, again, a lot of Eagles love. This one surprised me. 65% of bets, 70% of money are grabbing the Falcons catching the 4.5 at Minnesota next Sunday night. Flip-flopper here. 64% of bets and 27% of money. When you got 64% of the bets, but only 27% of the money going Tampa, but 36% of the bets and 73% of the money going to Houston, that was a real flip-flop there. And then Chargers, Raiders. The money's about 50-50, 55-45 in favor of the Raiders. But the ticket count is opposite and totally lopsided. Chargers, 75% of the tickets compared to just 25% for the Vegas Raiders. College football, a couple other ones that just stand out money-wise. NC State getting 70% of the handle, 30% of the handle to Wake Forest. Bets on Colorado and Houston, not too far split apart, but the money definitely is. 79% of the money on the Houston Cougars, 21% on the Colorado Buffs. Same thing, Arizona, 69% of tickets and 93% of the money on the Arizona Wildcats. Everybody's hopping off the K-State Wildcats, only 31% of bets, 7% of the money. And same thing with New Mexico. Everybody down on UCLA, 15.5-point favorite right now are the Bruins, but 68% of bets and 94% of the money. Pros and some Joes probably. Everybody hopping on New Mexico there in that one. A couple other landslides. Oregon, 96% of tickets, 98% of the money. It's Oregon or nothing. To win by 4 touchdowns is what they'll have to do to cover at Northwestern unless that line gets jacked up. Again, Clemson and Georgia Tech, we talked about this one, touched on it. The money's about even, 51-49, but ticket count, 64% Clemson, 36% Georgia Tech. And that'll be one that you really, really want to watch as the week goes on and how it moves. Georgia and Tennessee, 52-48 on both tickets and money. I expect that to be a tight one. That's a coin flip game. For me, I think Georgia's the better team, but, man, Neyland is a special place. It would have to be either take the points or nothing for me, but probably going to be a stay away. A couple other landslide games. Pittsburgh getting all the cash, 75% compared to just 25% of the money to the home team, the home dog of West Virginia catching 6. USC laying 21.5 on the road at Purdue. USC getting 68% of bets and 92% of money. They're kind of flying under the radar here. Odom, the head coach of UNLV, went out to Purdue. He'll try to slow down USC. That's been just putting up points in bunches there. Iowa State at Arkansas State. Arkansas State's only getting 14% of bets and 5% of money. Liberty laying 6.5 on the road against Bowling Green. Liberty choked against Jacksonville State. We had Jacksonville State plus the 7.5. Right now, 85% of money going to Bowling Green, only 15% of the money going to the Liberty Flames. Be interesting to see how that one trends out as the week goes on. I do think Liberty gets back on the wagon this week, but I'm not going to go laying 6.5. That would be something money line parlay made with Clemson, maybe with that Notre Dame. We'll see how it shakes out. Not Virginia Tech, 0-2, laying 7.5 at home to in-state rival Old Dominion. Now, Old Dominion's knocked them off a couple times. They're getting – the ticket count's 50-50, but 91% of the handle on Old Dominion, only 9% on the Hokies. Huge disparity there for sure. LSU, Florida, 68% of bets on the Tigers, only 32% of the bets on Florida. Money's about the same, 61% on LSU, 39% on Florida. All the other games are pretty well even as I'm looking at the splits here. The only other different one, Arizona State, catching 76% of the handle, only 24% going to Texas State there. Again, you can go to breaktheboardsports.com and get all of your plays, or just check out the quick hitter betting notes. Again, bigger goal is to help you become a better handicapper at breaktheboardsports.com. Going to hop into MLB baseball. We're just going to run down through the card real quick on this for you. Again, you'll have the MLB daily rundown show later. That'll hit. But as we go through the FanDuel lines here, refresh these here for you so we have everything up to date. Again, click that like button, hit subscribe. We're here every Monday, Thursday, along with shorts throughout the week, the daily baseball show. Ciccone will get the call for the Guardians against the Royals. Guardians laying at R10, comeback minus 106 with the Royals. Cavalli goes for the Nationals against Junka, the Marlins. Marlins laying $1.30. Your over-under set at 8. Would definitely look to the over on these teams for sure. Mets, Phillies. Mets will send the young McLean, who's been lights out, against Aaron Nola, the Phillies. Right now, Mets laying $1.22, plus 104 on the comeback for Nola, but Nola's been getting absolutely bombed. You're over under 8.5, juice minus 120 to the over. Cubs will send southpaw Shohei Imanaga to the hill against Bryce Elder. Elder has been pitching much better as of late. Right now, Cubs laying $1.18 on the road. Comeback one even money for the Braves. You're over under set at 9. Brewers at the Rangers. Rangers holding in there, trying to get a wild card spot. Brewers have pretty much locked up the NL Central. It's just a formality at this point. But two southpaws, Quintana will get the call for the Brewers. Latz for the Rangers. Minus $1.18 on the road for the Brewers. Comeback even money for the Rangers. You're over under setting at 8.5. Twins will have Woods Richardson on the bump against Dana of the Angels. Angels laying $1.20. You're over under 9.5. Reds will have Nick Lodolo on the bump, plus 122 at FanDuel against Yu Darvish. This is a big series. Reds fighting for that last playoff spot, trying to run down the Mets. Padres a game back of the Dodgers. This series between the Padres and Reds could go a long way in determining their playoff lives here. You're over under 7.5. Cardinals at the Mariners. Mariners, man, they were so hot, but this pitching staff has just let them down. They've slipped all the way. They only have a 1-game lead in the AL wild card. It's tough to imagine them holding on, but at least they're at home because they're god-awful on the road. McCollis will get the call for the Cardinals. Brandon Wu will get the call for the Mariners. Mariners laying 225 at home, plus 188 on the comeback for the Cardinals. McCollis has pitched better in his last 5 starts. We'll get into that in the MLB Rundown show. Be around about 2, 3 o'clock here today, over under 7.5. D-backs, they've hopped back into the discussion. They're 4.5 out of that NL wild card, trying to track down the Mets. Giants are only 4 out with Logan Webb, their ace, who's been lights out at home. But Krismat has been hot as well for the D-backs. Right now, Giants laying $1.90, plus 160 for the youngins of the D-backs. As their farm system's getting a run at, and they're playing much better. Again, you see this. These young kids got a chance to play, it's balls to the wall for them trying to make an impression for next year. You're over under 7.5. Garrett Crochet and the Boston Red Sox will head to Morales. Morales has pitched fantastic for the Sacramento A's. Red Sox laying $1.74 on the road. Morales plus 146 on the comeback at FanDuel. You're over under 9. Juice minus 115 to the over. And then Rockies at the Dodgers. Dodgers haven't named a starter. Probably going to be a bullpen day, but Chris Dolander plus 280. Dodgers minus 350 again. Dodgers only a 1-game lead on the San Diego Padres. So this is a big one. You're over under set at 9. Again, Vikings, there's been some buyback now. Bears went from a 2.5-point dog back down to a 1.5-point dog. So some sharps grabbed that real quick. So Vikings laying 1.5. You're over under 43.5, minus 110 both ways. Minnesota Vikings, if you like them on the money line, minus 120. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Again, go to breaktheboardsports.com, get those quick hitter betting notes for the Vikings and the Bears. Vikings have hit the money line 15 of their last 21 games. If you had been following that trend, you'd be up 8.75 units, 25% return on your investment. The Bears have hit their team total over in 8 of the last 11 games they've played at home. If you've been following that, you'd be up 4.8 units, about 38% return on your investment. Vikings have covered that first half spread 12 of their last 20 games, so 12-8 to that, up 3 units, 13% there on the ROI. Straight up, Vikings have dominated the Bears. They're 7-1 straight up their last 8 versus the Bears, and the Bears 0-5 straight up when they're in Soldier Field. So not only are the Vikings 7-1 the last 8, they've won the last 5 in Chicago, and then the Bears, obviously, just a tumultuous finish last year, 1-10 straight up their last 11 games. So not very good for them at all. Again, I'm your host, RJ Cash. BreakTheBoardSports.com every Monday, Monday morning quarterback betting show, Thursday pregame betting show. You'll have little shorts throughout the week. We're going to have a short diving into the Redskin-Packers game, all angles, some player props that'll come out. Your MLB daily rundown show, we'll have that out around 2, 3 o'clock Eastern time today. And then you'll start seeing the shorts for college football. We're going to attack the early games in a short, the 12 o'clocks. Then we'll have the 3:30 show. And then we'll have a show highlighting those primetime games. And then NFL, there will be a lot for the NFL this week. Again, huge week for us, 21-6 in football this week, or 21-8 rather, 13 games over 500. We'll see if we can get the Bears home tonight to put us up. Again, breaktheboardsports.com, $389. That's only $1.37 for the whole calendar year. You get every play, every sport, as well as 2 emails and your own P&L where we track for full transparency, and you get to see that. Again, breaktheboardsports.com. Have a great day. God bless, and happy handicapping to all of you out there.